Well, yeah, great game. Obviously, that's an understatement. Both teams made a lot of shots. This was, proud of our group, because when you have the lead in regulation and you feel like you missed an opportunity, it's not always easy to come back out of that. But our group stayed really confident. Jay hit a big shot, obviously, to get us off on the right foot, but I thought we had the right balance of aggressiveness. There was a couple plays in that regulation where it's like Jay gets the steal, it's in the scrum, she can't get out of it. In about a minute 50 where we've got the lead, and if we can control the ball, but it's just two teams playing hard. So those are hard plays to pull the reins back on, I guess. And we came into this game saying chaos was good for us. And I think we got enough of that to get an open floor. So fire away.
Was that the bounce back your team needed after the Colorado loss? Was that what you wanted to see from them?
Yeah, it's interesting because it was one of the quieter plane rides I've had. Thank you, Randy. Wow, you got more choices than I got at home. Wow.
Know what you want.
Huh. All right. It was a quiet plane ride coming home. I think the disappointment of not playing well really stung us. The last time we had lost, there wasn't any time to think about it. It was a tournament, played DePaul less than 24 hours later, had the opportunity to get on the floor. This one we had to sit with a couple days. But in the Big 12, one of the things we constantly talk about is don't let one turn into two. You got to get back up. You got to practice well. You got to do things. I thought we practiced better as the week progressed. I did not think we practiced well right after Colorado, but as the week progressed, I felt better about our preparation.
You mentioned chaos. Did you know going into this game that you wanted to run that full court defense, or is that?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't feel like, honestly, Audie was going to give us enough trouble down there. And we wanted to see if we couldn't get some advantage there. And I'll be honest, give us an open floor to maybe get some easier buckets than we had against Colorado. We didn't have any fast break points against Colorado. We ended up with 22 tonight. So that was a pretty big part of the game plan coming in.
Imani Lester had, whether it was scoring, rebounding, assists, just talk about the performance that she had stepping up when you needed her.
Huge. Her passing ability, she makes a great play to Serena on the post up there late in overtime. She had a couple big jumpers there. She's a different kind of post player because you can run a lot of action through her. But I loved her defense on Crook. She slid around for a couple steals. I thought she was really active all night.
Were you content to let Iowa State just chuck threes all night?
Well, I wouldn't say content. No. I would say that we probably weren't as quick as we wanted to be out to their shooters, but give those guys credit. We're flying at them. We just couldn't get there. We don't front the post a lot. Audie's different. Can't play her dead behind. At least we can't. Maybe somebody can. We can't. So that was new to us. I thought our players did a great job. I have no qualms with if they hit threes, it wasn't them. It was me. That was on me. So that wasn't our players' fault. They were doing exactly what I was asking them to do.
You led for 35 minutes, never by more than 10. This was a close game throughout, and yet your team stayed in control most of it. Just what does that say about them and their ability to punch back every time Iowa State punched?
I was just pleased with our confidence in those stretches because we got performances from different players. You look up and you've got Amani Lester making plays. You look up and you've got Jalen Glenn starting overtime. Terrence Hyde has a phenomenal night tonight. Zy Walker, I thought defensively did a great job on Ryan. But we had good balance and we had more options available to us than just Serena down the stretch. We could run different things. Now, Serena stepped up big, but Amani Lester, Terrence Hyde, Jalen Glenn all made big shots.
Wondering about Kennedy's minutes tonight. 10, she starts the game. It just personally felt like to me that maybe she needed to have the game of her life to try to stop Crooks just because of her body and how strong she is. But were you just planning to play her sparingly or depend on when Audie was in or whatever?
No, it really no, it really was just a feel. Who had a good feel, who looked good. We did want to run Audie, so there was a couple times, we tried to steal a couple possessions with Sanchez, and she had those wide open threes at the top of the key that she didn't make. But, you're trying to steal a few here or there, right? And so Maupin, I thought, ran her. That's one of the things we wanted to do was run her and make Iowa State get to the rim. And so, the minutes were just more a product of Lester playing well. Maupin has the speed that's going to run, and so there were times in the game where I just felt better with that. But I thought Kennedy battled. I thought Kennedy did some good things. So I think it's just going to be that way with this rotation right now. We don't probably have a player in that rotation that's a 25, 30-minute player. So it's going to be the feel that I have or what we want to run. And Amani runs more of the offense that we needed to run late in the game better than the other two because she's a passer. And so that gave us some options late in the game that we liked.
ESPN, primetime, number 11, K-State, Iowa State, Big 12 clash. Was this a good night for the Big 12 and for K-State?
Well, it's a great night for K-State. It was a great game. I've already had a bunch of texts talking about how great of a game it was to watch on ESPN. Now, those are K-Staters, so they probably have their purple glasses on, but that's okay. That's okay. I do too. But I think a game where both teams are scoring and playing well and doing some good things, people like to watch. And I think it's a great indication of how good our league is. I think Iowa State is always one of the top teams. And for us to get this win tonight, it's a big win for us.
Seniors have those moments for those games where it's like, you're not going to take this game from us. Seemed like Serena may have had one of those games tonight.
The huddle was interesting after regulation. I would put it somewhere in the middle of that. It wasn't a dejected huddle, but it also wasn't a let's go do this. It was a more business-like huddle, And Jay's shot's one of those shots that right away relaxes you and gets you back into that mode. What I loved about Jay's shot was we didn't even talk about picking up and pressing, but the minute that thing hit the net, all five were locked into pressing, and I thought that said a lot about their attitude because they could have easily hit it and jogged back, or not jogged back, but got back, and I would have said, I didn't really talk about pressing. We were going over some other things, and their attitude was great. So, probably the early part of that timeout was maybe just a little quiet because we felt like we'd let them back in. But, boy, after that, we had great energy and great execution. And you've got to have both. You can't just have great energy. You got to execute. Got to execute. The right players got to get shots, and we had that.
Best game for Taryn yet?
We thought at halftime it was her best defensive game of her career. And I don't think she did anything in the second half that took away from that. And then to look at her score offensively, yeah, no question. I think it's the best game of her career. I think it's not surprising. We've seen her have nights, but defensively, she hasn't been the pest that she was tonight. I mean, she was seeing things. She was backside. She had a different level of speed out there defensively than we've seen. And that was fun to watch her play.
Did you see Serena at any point take some ownership of this team and say, listen, guys, this is not, we're going to take over this. We're going to win this game?
Serena, I think that when her huddles were very solid, her body language was very businesslike. Let's go execute this. Let's go do this. Where I saw her take over was at about that mid-overtime stretch where she made the up and under move. And at that point, she looked like the best guard on the floor. And she looked like this is our game, and we let it slip away one time. It's not happened in a second. But it was more on the floor and the confidence she showed in that stretch. All right, thanks, guys.